Hey gang, today we'll talk about three of the major cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum and Solana. We'll analyze their recent performance and look at what the forecasts suggest going forward. We'll also take a serious look at the extremely fast-spreading AI technologies and understand why this might not be great news for the health of the global economy. And as always, the ways to support the channel remain the same. Like, comment and subscribe with the bell. Let's jump straight into the action, since there haven't been any dramatic movements in the crypto market over the past 24 hours and the conflict in the Middle East seems to be affecting the sector less and less. It looks like everyone has already gotten used to Trump's bipolar statements. One day he says he'll devastate Iran, the next day the Iranians are supposedly desperately calling him to beg for peace, and on the third day he says he's not sure whether a ceasefire will help, and so on. Sad for the innocent people caught in this whole mess. So, Bitcoin, the largest cryptocurrency and the symbol of the entire industry, is currently trading just south of $63,000, representing about a 4% increase over the past week. But as you well know, it's still far below the all-time highs we celebrated last year. When will we see a strong push upward again, and when will this exhausting bear market finally end? That's what we're all wondering, so let's break it down. According to well-known analyst Ali Martinez on X, Bitcoin is currently in no man's land. He bases this on the so-called MVRV pricing bands, which are moving in the -0.5 to -1 range. Martinez said that a drop to -1, which would mean Bitcoin falling below $50,000, would be a massive buy signal, hinting that the bottom of this cursed cycle might be around here. Shortly after, he shared another analysis claiming that Bitcoin has hit a wall at $63,000 and will struggle to break through because so many investors bought BTC exactly at that level. In his view, most holders would sell if the price reaches 63k, since the market is extremely uncertain and selling there would allow them to break even and breathe easier. According to Martinez, if Bitcoin fails to break $63,000 and then drops below 59,000, a brutal crash down to around 37,000 could follow. And what about you? Did you buy Bitcoin during the bear market, and at what prices did you load up? Drop a comment so we can start an interesting discussion. Ethereum remains the second largest cryptocurrency, even though it was briefly overtaken by Tether's USDT last month. At the time of this recording, one ETH cost around $1,750, an 8% weekly increase. Optimistic predictions are circulating on CryptoX, suggesting we might see an additional pump. Ted, for example, believes that a rise to around $1,850 could be followed by a jump to $2,000. Ali Martinez, on the other hand, pointed out that Ethereum recently tested the 1,580 support level, which has historically led to strong rallies. In October 2023, it was followed by a 150% micro rally, and in April 2025 by a 203% explosion. Whether history will repeat itself remains to be seen. Meanwhile, well behavior also looks positive. Some large investors recently opened multi-million-dollar long positions on Ethereum, suggesting they're confident in short-term price growth, which could attract additional smaller investors and traders. On top of that, the amount of ETH held on exchanges remains quite low, meaning there's no mass panic to sell. Solana is going through its biggest FUD of the year. The term, which comes from fear, uncertainty and doubt, refers to negative information, rumors or comments intended to scare investors, create panic, push people to sell and naturally drive the price down. The spread of claims like the project is dead, the developers are leaving and regulators will ban it without any real evidence is a classic example. And that's what exactly is happening with Solana. Trading volume has dropped to its lowest level in 2026, while negative commentary has sparked to its highest level of the year. People are frustrated because despite strong narratives around tokenized stocks and RWA activity, the price hasn't reacted as traders expected. But here's where it gets interesting. When sentiment is extremely negative and volume is low, the market becomes easier for big players to move. There aren't many small investors panic selling and blocking the direction. And when everyone is convinced that nothing will happen, that's often when the sharpest reversals occur. Michael van de Poel believes that if the price doesn't fall below $73–76, it could climb to $100. And finally, a story that directly affects the crypto market. According to recent analysis, the boom in AI development is raising concerns about inflation. And this could prove to be unpleasant news for the crypto sector. The reason is simple: artificial intelligence is evolving at lightning speed. In just 2 years, we went from chatbots doing homework to models that generate code, manage businesses, perform analysis, create video and music and design, you name it. People all over the world are using it, from students and freelancers to massive corporations. This leads to a huge surge in demand for hardware, servers, energy, data centers and chips. And when demand outpaces supply, prices go up. Here is the problem. If the AI industry continues to expand at this pace, it could keep inflation higher than the Federal Reserve would like. And when inflation is high, the Fed usually doesn't rush to cut interest rates. What does that mean for crypto? Higher rates equals more expensive capital equals fewer risky investments. Historically, this hits sectors like cryptocurrencies, tech stocks and startups the hardest. In other words, as exciting as AI's growth is, it might be a double-edged sword. A revolution on one side and a factor that keeps inflation elevated and makes life harder for the crypto market on the other. That's all for today, gang. Have a great and successful day and see you tomorrow.